Good morning, everyone, and happy Friday. Welcome to Open Office Hours. I'm Crystal Hinkle, part of the team here at Syncro, and I'll let the ladies introduce themselves.
Hey everybody, I'm Tatiana. Welcome to our open office hours.
Hi everyone, I'm Brandy, also part of the team here at Syncro. Happy Friday.
Yes, happy Friday. I feel like the week kind of flew by. Starting out, obviously, if you've joined us here before, thank you so much for returning. We love doing open office hours. For those of you that are joining us for the first time, welcome. These are super fun. It's really a place you can ask whatever question you're currently having. It really doesn't matter if you're still in trial, maybe you've never looked at Synchro at all. You could be paying us for a year now and using Synchro, and just something came to mind. So really, any questions are absolutely okay. We use the Q&A. It's easiest for us to manage as those questions come through. One of the things, just to start out, and you guys can feel free, if you've got questions loaded up, feel free to, you can just start putting them into the Q&A right now. I figured I would start today. It's probably not going to be like a super deep dive, but I thought it would be really cool to talk a little bit more about business hours. Reason being, I don't know how many of you are in our Facebook group, but this is going to be my time to definitely promote joining our Facebook group. Not only is it a great community, you can ask questions, there's a lot of interaction, but we have a ton of great requests. And we started this new program. I'm sure you guys have seen Andy in our Facebook group, and we're taking suggestions and we're actually like implementing them based upon kind of quality of lifestyle type of improvements. So I want to show you one of the things that we did this week. So let me share my screen. I need to hop out of this presentation here real quick. Sorry about that. Okay, so I'm going to start at the beginning. For those of you that aren't necessarily utilizing business hours, there's a lot of different use cases for this. So I'll just kind of, again, just maybe start a little bit at the beginning. If you go to your admin section in business hours, you have the ability to set your calendar, your schedule. So there's a use case here if you use any of our website widgets, like your calendar, so that people can book appointments. This comes in handy. The other thing too, and this has been built out for a while, I'm saving kind of the good stuff for, or not the good stuff for last, but the new stuff for last. So one other thing, if you go into your mailboxes, one thing that we have also recently implemented is that we've always had autoresponders, but now you can have a different autoresponder if it's after hours. So you can customize that in a way where you can let your end user know, hey, that I'm not available. And then you can even have it, if this is an emergency, do this. So you can have different autoresponders based upon the time of day, which is incredibly helpful. The other thing that I thought I would show as well, if you head to contracts, again, it's kind of nice to be able to show this, just because, let me make sure I'm recording. Okay, good. I think that, again, sometimes we think of business hours and we think, oh, it would make sense in this one spot. But really, it touches a lot of different areas within the system. So another place that you'll find business hours is service level agreements. And so I'm just going to go into one. You'll see that you can see that you've got active hours. So if you don't want that service level agreement running when you're not actually during business hours, this is where you can turn that off. So depending on how your contract is set up with your customers. But let me show you the fun stuff. So I'm going to head to automated remediation. So this was one of those requests that we were like, hey, that's a great idea. Let's do that. I'm going to head over to automated remediation here. We've added business hours as a condition. So I'm just going to go into any of them. It doesn't really matter. But you'll see that if you want to add a condition here, you can say business hours. And what's nice about this is you can say only run during business hours or only run outside of business hours. So I was kind of curious. Obviously, you know, like we know Synchro really, really well, but we're not an MSP. So I did ask Andy, and I got a little bit more background as to where this request stemmed from. And I thought this was really, really cool. So this MSP in particular did a lot of maintenance type of stuff overnight. So things that would probably trigger high CPU and things like that. And what was happening is that every morning their technicians would come in and have like a ton of alerts that then they had to track down and see, is this real? Was it based upon the maintenance that I ran last night? Like, so it was kind of a headache. And so what this allows is for like on, say, that policy, maybe you do specific maintenance on servers and you have a policy specific to that. You can have these alerts that come in. If it's out of business hours, you can just have that automatically clear the alert. So you still have the alerts coming in. So if you want to keep, some sort of record, you have that. But then it just automatically clears it so that when your technicians arrive in the morning, they're not spending a couple hours tracking down these alerts that aren't actually real. They were due to a script that you actually had run. So I hope that you all find that helpful. If you have any questions, please let us know. And again, I definitely encourage joining that Facebook group and offering your requests. And again, I say this every time. Anytime you make a request, if you can say, this is either going to make me a ton of money, this thing, or this is going to save me a ton of time, which as we know, time is money, very similar to the same thing. Tell us that use case, because that is incredibly powerful. So thank you very much for that request. I'm so excited that we did it. So yeah, that's what I've got for you. Are we ready to answer some questions?
Yes, awesome. Thank you so much, Crystal. Hopefully our Q&A is in order today. We had a little technical difficulties last week, so I think we're good so far. I see a couple questions in here I'll go ahead and tackle. The first one is from Paul. Any way in the dashboard to flag customers or assets as favorites? So I like this. Let me just share my screen real quickly. And if you ladies have anything else to add to this, my favorite way of flagging VIP customers is to use custom fields. So first of all, in the admin section, you can have custom fields. Ours always looks a little silly because we have a million and we just want to show you all of the different ways that you can have them. But one of them is going to be a custom field that's a pop-up custom field. So if I come in here and I search for Larry, famous Larry here, it's going to pop up and say VIP customer. So if your techs were looking for a specific customer, this would pop up to them. I like that. I don't know if you guys have anything else to add to that, but I think as far as flagging VIP customers and really using custom fields, I would highly suggest doing this. And ladies, I'll turn this off before, after open office hours so it doesn't drive everyone crazy on your demos. But we will absolutely do that. You can use those as often as you would like to. Brian says chat is great, would be better if paired with the mobile app. Stay tuned. And then we have a question from Bruce. So on a trial, created a ticket worksheet for workstation prep with a custom field. Problem is it will either always show on a new ticket or not at all, depending on the setting. So a couple things here. I just want to share this because I love worksheets. If you've been on a demo with me, I talk about worksheets a lot. So you can set up a specific worksheet. So for example, I have my virus removal worksheet and you can make it pre-populate based on custom fields. And it sounds like that's what you've done already. So if I select it's a virus removal ticket, it's going to populate for you. Now you are also able to add a worksheet. So you can just add one at any point in time if it doesn't pull up for you. So I can come in, if it's not on here, you can either create one at any point in time, but I could say, okay, I've got a new employee workflow and I'm going to pull in that particular worksheet. So you can add them. But again, the automation is going to be for a specific custom field type. I hope that helps.
It does. Thank you so much, Brandy. I have a question here right at the top of our queue from Matt. He says, need the same feature with chat. And I think when he wrote that, he was referring to how Crystal was showing the after hours autoresponder based on business hours. So I'll share my screen here and I'll show you guys real quick. Right now, at this time, you do have this capability built into Synchro. If you head over to your policies and open any policy, I have my regular base package open here. When you're adding your live chat capability to the device system tray menu, you have this unavailable message. And I looked up the time frame for this. It looks like at this time it will display if the client does not receive a message back within 3 minutes. Not configurable at this time, but I do think it would be helpful to have some type of autoresponder based on the business hours for chat as well. Right now, it'll be within the first 3 minutes. So again, if the customer initiates a chat and you don't respond, it'll automatically let them know about that there. So hopefully that is kind of a step forward in the right direction. And we definitely do collect your guys' feature requests. If there's anything else that you want to see in chat, please do let us know, and we'll be happy to pass on that along to the development team. Next question here, our request is from Jason. He says, would like to see a different forum for feature requests and like different interactions other than Facebook. So definitely we do hear that, and we can pass that along to the team for you as well. So those are the two at the top that I had, and looks like Randolph is next.
Awesome. I'll grab that. Question is, any way in Synchro Live to match screen resolution full screen when remote is lower resolution? Right now, I don't think so. We do continue to rev on Synchro Live remote control, so I think you will continue to see improvements on that aspect. But as of right now, I think the answer is no. I was going to I have a couple here that I can just really quick. Sebastian, would there be an issue if I have another PSA connected to QuickBooks Online and also connect Synchro to QuickBooks Online? I just quickly asked technical support, so it's not necessarily going to be, there's not like a technical issue. The main thing is that there could be like invoice number overlap, which would, if there was already an invoice in your QuickBooks Online and one with the same number from Synchro trying to sync, you would probably have to readjust that number and resync it. Like it's not going to sync if the invoices are like overlapping numbers. So that, it sounds like that would be the main issue there. And then just on the same vein, because it's another one from Sebastian, invoicing emails keep going to promotions folder. All other emails hit the inbox. Is there something in the invoice template that triggers G Suite to send to promotions? Just clarifying, you mean when you send invoices to your customers, I'm assuming, or when we send in, I'm not sure. Either way, I don't have an answer. I think that would have to go to technical support.
Awesome. Next question at the top here is another one from Sebastian. He says, in the notification, if I'm a member of multiple notification sets, do I get double alerts if an option is ticked on both sets? I think it does because I keep getting double and triple notifications, but not sure if that's the reason. So I'll share my screen. I'll show you guys what he's talking about. Right now, yes, I do believe that those will be doubled. So if you go over to our admin section, you open your security groups, have it in a new tab here. If you are part of, let's say, the technicians, security groups, bookkeeper, and administrators, and you have maybe the same selection, like a ticket was created for me or whatever or I'm sorry, this is the security groups. I need to be in the notifications, excuse me. But yes, basically, if you are part of all three notification sections here, you will receive the alerts that are selected under each group type, if that makes sense. So again, if you have a ticket, you have it selected that a ticket was created from an email and assigned to me, you will get those notifications if they're selected on all three sets. So hopefully that helps answer your question.
Awesome. Thanks, Tatiana. This one's going to be for the group. So Joshua is asking kind of a question to the group here. So he has a need to be able to create client-specific installers via the API during a client creation process, also using the API, and then dispatch the said installer to the client via email, etc. Per previous conversations, this functionality doesn't exist. Any idea how we can accomplish that? Is there any user out there having a method to make that happen? And he wants to grab data via web forms, create Synchro client with said data, receive initial payment for service, then create customer specific installer and send installer or a link to installer over to new client. Basically an automated customer sign up workflow. So if anyone has any recommendations, or they are doing this using an API, and maybe something a little bit differently that's not native into Synchro, then Joshua would love some feedback. And even if you have done this, you can just say me, and if you guys want to take it offline or something, if you guys are okay with sharing an email or something like that, then we would be happy to do that.
Cool. My turn. From Dean. Hi, we have a company that has multi-user PCs. How do we go about the customer opening a ticket for the user and not the assigned user? At the moment, we have to manually edit each ticket for the user if they tell us who opened it. This is the only thing stopping us using the ticketing system at the moment. I see. So yeah, when they use the system tray icon to create a ticket, if there is a contact assigned, it's going to auto assign that contact. Really, I think that's what I'm hearing. And if the customer is creating it, if they don't tell you, I really don't know if there's a really great way to handle that. Do you guys have any ideas that I'm missing? I think, yeah, if the main customer doesn't tell you who they're creating the ticket for, I don't even know like where they are creating the ticket. I guess that's the other thing. It depends on where they're creating the ticket. But yeah, if the contact is assigned to the asset and that contact creates the ticket from the agent, like the actual system tray icon, it's going to auto assign to the contact. So I don't know if we have a real strong solution there. And then Austin wants to know, what is the best way to set up trip charges if purchased in bulk? Use case, client buys a pack of 12 on-site visits. How do you deduct from that and then charge one-offs after the 12 have been used? That's really interesting because we do have like prepaid hours. So I don't know if like 12 on-site visits, if it's like you could spend any amount of time, or if it's like 12 hours. If it's 12 hours, we do have prepaid hours, and you can add those to a reoccurring invoice. Once you've used all those up, it'll start adding after that. But as far as being like more like a unit, like a product, there's really not a way to automatically do that. So it would have to be done through prepaid hours if you wanted it to be automated in any way.
I think there's a couple comments down here, down at the bottom of the Q&A, okay, that had to do with the previous question you just answered. So okay, the contact form
and. I see. Well, the form asks for customer details. Don't assign the asset to a contact. So here, I'm trying to weed through. It should use the data on the form. Question mark, show using help desk buttons has an initial entry for name and email address, might be a workaround. Okay, let me just share my screen for a sec. Let's go ahead and go into assets and RMM. By the way, we super appreciate when you guys have ideas of what you're doing, that kind of thing. That's always really, really helpful. I'm just gonna hop into a Synchro live session here just super quick because I wanna just make sure that everyone's on the same page. So from here, agent contact form, if someone says like support request, it's gonna auto-fill who is assigned to the asset. If there is no one assigned to the asset, it's not going to be there. However, you can always override this. So if it's not Crystal's computer, or you don't want Crystal to be on the request, you can change this name and that will override the contact. It won't create a new contact. It'll just override who's assigned to the machine. So if your end users are using that to create a ticket, as long as they update the contact information to who should be the contact information on this, I feel like hopefully that will eliminate some of that. Right, so Evan's saying, like, if you don't assign the contact to the asset, this will just be blank. So you can just fill out whatever you want it to be each time. So that might actually help clear things up. And then I see also Austin's just saying show using the prepaid hours. So while I've got my screen showing, I'll just do that really quick. There's like a couple ways to, like, there's a couple steps to set up prepaid hours, but essentially if you go to, I'm just going to show you invoices here. And I'm going to go to invoice modules and reoccurring invoices. I'm just going to pick any of them because it doesn't necessarily, I don't know if there's one that has it. It doesn't really matter. I'm just going to go into one. So really on a reoccurring invoice, you'd come down here to line items and you'd go standard line item. You'd pick whatever your, I think I have them named as like block hours. And then you would choose, like if it was 12 hours, you could do that and you could add that to the reoccurring invoice. Now, every time you go on site and you use those hours, it'll automatically deduct from those 12 hours and then charge them additionally if they go over. Those are hour units, not like those. They have to be deducted using the ticket timer or the labor log. Either way, however you track time, it is specific to labor. It does not have anything to do with like a product. So hopefully that helps.
Awesome. Okay, we can clear out some of those probably, but we do have a question about, is it possible to upgrade Windows 7 to Windows 10 remotely using Synchro? You'll want to use, and again, this can be one for the group because we don't upgrade computers on a regular basis, but that would be done via scripting in Synchro currently. There's not a native way to do that without using scripting, so I would definitely do that, and you can Google scripts for that too. I don't think we have any in the community script library, but I have seen people just Google those. And then if you want, I'll just go ahead and grab Sebastian. So he says, I'm drowning in policies. One for workstations with AV, others for workstations with AV and chat, some with MCSoft, some with Bitdefender, others with servers, etc. Is there best practice to not end up with hundreds of policies? Should you create a policy per customer with all the options? So I think that depends. A lot of people set theirs up different ways, and two, this can be one that you guys chime in with. We do see people set them up per customer. We also see people set them up for server and workstation. One thing to help you though is you can clone them. So if you have all of the same settings for one customer and you just need to make one tweak, if this doesn't have AV or it doesn't have chat, you can just clone it. Some people set it up as good, better, best if you're billing that way. I think that's completely dependent on your billing to have like a gold, silver, platinum, that type of a thing. I have seen a lot of people do, like if there's a C-level employees or admin level employees, they have a workstation policy for those because maybe they have attended access there. So I do see by customer quite a bit. I also hear server workstation. Unfortunately, you might have a lot, but another thing you can do is you can use these little mini policies, I call them, from within. And so you're not having to recreate them just completely from scratch each time. But I would definitely clone them. Really, the long list of policies is just when you're setting them up. You shouldn't have to like file through your long list of policies too often, just if you want to make a change. I can't hear you.
I can take the next one here from Bruce if you'd like me to, Crystal.
I like had 37 different windows open and couldn't find my unmute. Go ahead.
Okay. Next question here is from Bruce. He says, any way to have a pop-up when a tech resolves a ticket saying something like, did you use any equipment that needs to be charged to the customer? Really, really good question. I love this because we want to make sure you're not leaving any money on the table within Synchro. There isn't a way to do a pop-up that I know of, but we do have a recommendation that I'll show you here. I'm in the admin section. I opened under the ticket section, ticket worksheets. Brandy already mentioned this a couple times earlier today. And so what I did is I opened a worksheet or created a new one. And here I'm saying required. If required, must be completed to resolve the ticket. So if you want this, if you want a worksheet to be attached to a specific ticket custom field type, you can make sure that it always populates there. And again, if it's required, your technician, let's say this one is required, they're going through the list, they're checking all the boxes, and they ignore the last 4 steps, or the last note says, did you charge for any equipment, anything like that. If they go to move the ticket into a resolved status or anything like that, it will create an alert that says, nope, you cannot resolve this ticket. You have to complete the checklist, which will force them to go back, read the steps, make sure they're not missing anything, charge properly, and whatever other steps you want them to take. So yes, I do recommend worksheets for that purpose there.
I have one little thing on that point too, and I know it's not like a pop-up on the ticket, but it's another way to not leave money on the table is in the inventory section. I know it doesn't apply to all tickets, but if you happen to add like a laptop onto a ticket, there are upsell opportunities too that will pop up. So for example, did you add the cord? Did you add the charger? Like anything else that would possibly come, a case, you name it. So anytime you were adding a laptop onto a ticket, then these additional items would pop up and ask if you wanted to add those onto the ticket too. So kind of related, but a lot of people don't know that that's there, and it's one of the newer features. So I like that too for upselling.
Super helpful. Thank you.
Yeah, good call. Okay, I found my mute button. So for Jay, on the topic of business hours, ticket automation condition not updated in hours, I enter 72 and I have business hours select. Will this run at 72 business hours? So let me just share my screen, because the reason I'm going to do this as we're talking through this is just showing people how awesome ticket automations are. And I like that example of a ticket automation. I use that often when I'm showing people, oops, I didn't mean to hit preferences. When I'm showing people the advantage of setting up ticket automations, but I'm fairly certain, let me just grab one. So you've got the option. It depends on what you have set up here, if it's going to count those hours during business hours. I have heard that very similar to the way we just added it to automated remediation, it's going to add it as a condition instead of maybe this option here. I heard talks of that, so maybe stay tuned on that. But yeah, this is the way that you could define whether you wanted it to run there. It's actually, though, it's funny because I think the reason we want to add business hours here, this is hard coded. So when it says 9 to 5, I'm fairly certain this is 9 to 5 across the board. I don't think it goes off of your business hours, which I think is why we want to add it as a condition instead. So a little background on that. Question from Brian, is phone on contact for mobile or SMS? Or contact form mobile for SMS. Yes, it is. Yep, exactly. And I'm going to grab just one more since I'm unmuted now. Is there a way to edit the barcode label that you can print for each asset? Any label is not editable at this time. And then I figured it's along the same vein as like the contact phone number. I think I get this question a ton, and I think it's worth bringing up to just the team as far as just like a UI maybe update. But sorry, it says when a ticket is opened without an assigned, is there a way of removing the account owner receiving ticket emails? You have to have someone assigned, and this goes along with the next question in regards to having a primary contact and not having them as like an actual contact instead of the main contact. So let me clarify this. Sorry, I'm answering like a ton of questions, but they seem related. So the question is like, why would you put Larry and Larry Lamplighter as like the main contact here instead of just have it be the business name and then Larry as a contact here? There is not like a formal best practice, but one thing to note, this customer information on this main screen is what any like accounting integration will integrate with. So those emails in that main customer information has to be the email that matches with either QuickBooks or Xero. So that's kind of like the main way that I think about this. You can create that person as a contact, like if it's a different email. I just know that that email has to be the main, basically like billing type of accounting email. But as far as best practice, as long as you know that like foundation information, I think you can do it however you see fit.
Awesome, thank you. Jay is asking, in contacts, is there an option for a second email address, like the client's personal email, or more phone numbers, office, direct dial, and cell? Not currently. We do hear that request quite often, and I'm happy to pass that along again. In the meantime, the workaround would be to have a custom field, because you can have custom fields for customers, contacts, tickets, assets. So you could do that for a contact and have an additional email field or phone field there as well.
Awesome. Thank you, Brandy. Next question here is from Paul. He says, I have been adding time and charges through the add and view charges window, which is kind of clunky. You've talked about different ways of adding times and charges to a ticket to create an invoice. Can you please walk through that and share what you think is the best practice moving forward? Thank you. Absolutely. I'm happy to share that with you here today. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen now. A couple things here, and I actually just recently did a deep dive that if you are curious after today's call or after today's webinar, if you want to take another look, it's going to be more in depth than I'm going to go through today. But it's this one right here. It's this live open office hours deep dive efficient ways to charge time. So I just wanted to point that out there. But so I'll show you what he's referring to and the different setups that you have available to you. I'm in the admin section. I went over to my ticket preferences. Or I'm sorry, in the reports, I went over to my ticket time by technician report. That's the first one. This is a report that's going to show you on a tech per tech basis what you are billing your customer for. So if you have some customers that you're billing time or not, this is where you can kind of go through a big list and see, are we missing any charges? Are we billing the customer the right way based on the contract that you have set up with them? So that's the first tip there, is just utilizing that report. The other thing is, I usually, when you're initially setting up Synchro, what I encourage people to do is decide if in the ticket preferences, if you want to charge time by default. So again, if you're charging time by default, anytime that you're working on a ticket, it's going to create that charge on the invoice, and you're going to be able to bill for that time. If you're utilizing and you're needing a contract and you're selling a all-you-can-eat type of setup to your customer, I have a contract set up here. This is where you're able to specify per customer pricing. So again, if you're charging time by default, your customer is going to see every time entry that you're billing them for on their invoices. And again, if they're paying you a flat lump sum, whatever X amount per month, so you don't want them to see a dollar amount charge on a per hour basis, you can create a contract here. You can build out any product or service in this section here again. So again, if you're billing for remote labor, usually $200 per hour, and for this all-you-can-eat type of customer, you say, hey, it's going to be $0 since you're paying me a flat lump sum per month. So I'd recommend considering things in that way. The other thing too is here, we just shipped an update to this a week or two ago, and this has to do again with how you're charging time to the ticket and how you want your invoices to be built off of those pending ticket charges. Previously, you only had the ability to pull in all pending ticket charges for the particular customer. This was difficult to use if you were only billing for completed tickets only, not for work completed, but only resolved tickets. So now you also have the capability to pull in those pending ticket charges based on the ticket status, which should help you with invoicing your customers as easily as possible. So Paul, hopefully that answers your question. If you have any follow-up ones, just drop them into the chat box. And then I have another one right after this is from Mark. He says, we have a few junior members of staff who are still working from home. Is there a way for me to use Synchro Live without them knowing I'm on their machine? So first things first, yes, we do have unattended access within Synchro. If you deploy the Synchro agent onto your users' endpoints or your your employees' endpoints, you have the ability, there's two settings I recommend taking a look at. First things first is within just this RMM settings within Synchro, you have the ability here to say show Synchro live session indicator by default. You can turn that on or off by default across all of your customers' endpoints. So that's something to consider there. Also within the policies, this is again done on a policy per policy basis. You can choose if you want to require attended access, just make sure that's not selected. Hopefully that helps answer that question there. Sorry guys, looks like I have like 4 in a row somehow. So I'm gonna kind of just keep going through these. Next one is from Anonymous. They say, what's the best way for charging time against a block of hours? How do you see where the hours have been deducted? Do you have to raise an invoice each time? At this time, yes, you do have to raise an invoice each time. So as Crystal briefly mentioned already, within the products and services section, you want to set up your prepaid hours as I believe it's a labor type. So let me kind of go in here and show you guys real quick. So for the category, when you're building your block hours or prepaid hours or whatever you want to call them, obviously you're setting your rate here. The most important thing is here for the category, you want to make sure you select prepaid hours, because any time charged against a ticket is going to counterbalance against these prepaid hours. So again, what I'll show you here, and I'm not going to dive in too deep for the sake of time, but on any ticket, if you go over to, also I'll open the customer's profile as well, hand in hand here. When you're adding prepaid hours to the balance, you create an invoice for that. So it looks like for Larry, right now we have 41 prepaid hours for him. If I go and I create an invoice and I sell him 10 more, this number is going to jump up to 51 for me. Then as I'm working tickets and I'm charging time to the tickets, whether you're using ticket timer or anything, as you can see, all of mine are charging by default. And when I go to make an invoice from this ticket, that is when the prepaid hour balance is going to go back down, because those hours are being used when you're charging that time. The customer can also see that balance within their customer portal as well, in case you guys were not aware. So hopefully that helps answer that question. And then last one I have up here at the top is another one from Anonymous. They say, if I set up a contract for a customer that pays a monthly managed service fee for each device, is it correct that I should set up a labor item override for support and assign a $0 rate to it? You could do it that way. Yep. So same type of setup that I showed you guys within the contracts. If you're billing on a per endpoint basis and let's say it's $50, $100 per endpoint per month, and you're including unlimited remote access and whatever else it might be, yes, you can use a $0 override for those labor categories and still make sure you're tracking time, showing your customer what type of work that you're completing for them. So that's it for me. Sorry guys, 4 in a row. I don't know how that happened. Whoever's next, take it away.
All right, I'm gonna grab a few. Dean, my last question, he says, possibly a feature request. Our current help desk allows us to format like code formatted, like bold and italics. All I can say is stay tuned there. One of the higher requested feature requests, please stay tuned. I'm going to grab a few. I'm out of order, but I'm just going to grab a few since I'm unmuted. Is there a way to have the chat box on the client side flash once the window is already open and minimized? I just tested that out. I don't think so, David, but I do think that that's solid. So I'm going to pass that along for sure. And then the other one, yes, Andy, sort of a feature request, but when we raise a feature request, could we be notified that it's either going to be implemented, being considered, or has been totally rejected? I would like to see an integration with cash flow, I'm guessing accounting package, but I knew it was never ever going to be considered. Then I would have to consider moving to QuickBooks or Xero rather than waiting in false hope. So what I can tell you, Andy, is that, so I'm going to give you a long and short answer. The short answer is right now it's not being considered. QuickBooks and Xero are the integration that we have. I haven't heard this on the roadmap at all, so I would rather be transparent. Right now, I believe it's not being considered at all. So hopefully that helps. But in like the grand scheme of things, like I would like to just say, we add integrations all the time and our API is ridiculous. And so I'm just going to take like a moment to brag about our API just for a second, because we continue to update this. we are super heavy on making sure everything is secure. And this is one thing that really shows that off. So honestly, this it maybe could be built. So I just want to show you API tokens, because from here, like, you can create a new token. You can choose, like, we've got some of our more popular integrations here, but you can do custom permissions. So what's lovely about this is, really, I can't imagine like an integration that really requires access to every little thing in the API. So to be able to remain very secure and keeping your account secure, like, you can choose, again, what API keys and tokens you'd want. So just saying, while I don't think that's anywhere in the near to mid future as far as a new integration that we're planning on adding, you might be able to build something. So hopefully that helps.
Awesome. I have a question here from Sebastian at the top. He says, when you duplicate a policy, it automatically creates a clone in the product section. Even if you rename the policy, the cloned product does not get renamed. Could there be issues if I go in and delete those cloned products? So I'll share my screen and I'll show you guys what he is referring to. So he is correct. When you are building your policies within Synchro, Brandy showed this to you guys, you can use this clone feature. It's super helpful to kind of copy and paste if you're going between adding a new customer instead of building a brand new policy from scratch. So obviously that's a huge time saver there. Every time that you create a brand new policy, whether it's clicking new policy or cloning, yes, it does create a product for you. I searched in mine and it looks like I have a ton of copies in here that I need to clean up, but yes, it will say copy of and whatever it was that you cloned from. So what you could do is you can manually go through these and rename them if that's what you are needing to do. I'll also show you that there's a way to do this in kind of another way to look at this. If you go over to the assets and RMM section, you go under view pricing packages. That's what I have open here. This is again going to give you your policies here. You can edit the description of them. You can always manage. You can also manage the pricing that's linked to the policy here. So next question is probably, why do you need to have a product created to a policy? And the reason for that is because you can automate your billing and bill on a policy per policy basis within Synchro. I see this the most often for users who are billing like a good, better, and best type of product offering. So for example, if I opened a brand new recurring invoice, or you can edit a current one that you have. And for the add line item type, I selected RMM package. This list right here directly correlates with your list of policies. So again, for example, if you're selling like a level 1, 2, and 3 type of product offering, and you add silver, let's say I have silver, I'm going to add that to the template. I already have that built here. You can bill off of a policy per policy level. So it looks like for this customer, Larry, for which I created this invoice here, for the level 1 silver RMM package, he only has one endpoint that's being monitored at that level. Same thing, I added gold and platinum as well. Looks like I have none on those endpoints. So again, if you're offering a mix type of levels of monitoring to the same exact customer, and you want to use our dynamic counters to make sure those are accurately reflected and up to date, that is what that would be used for. So hopefully that helps answer your question.
Awesome. Thanks, Tatiana. I've got a couple in here. So Jay, I track our clients' domain names and renew them when due. I tried setting up an asset, but the condition date is grayed out. What's the best way to auto-generate a ticket or monitor when a date's items are due to be renewed? So really good question. And let me just share my screen here, because what you can do in the admin section under your asset custom fields is you can have custom fields. It doesn't have to be a managed device to be able to have those. So let me just walk you through that process real quickly. And it sounds like you've done this part, but for others, asset custom fields, you can select, if it's your managed devices, you'll do it here. If it's anything else, you'll just come here, manage fields, and you can add a new asset field, which is what I did here. You could make it a date field. So I could say renewal date, and I could make it a field, and then you could make it required if you wanted to. Then in your notifications, you can come in and there's asset has a date field, 30 days in the future or 7 days in the future. And you can choose. It's not going to auto-generate a ticket for you, but it will give you a notification however you would like that notification. So I would definitely set those up. That's how I would handle it there. Hopefully that helps. And then I saw Justin had a question about prepaid hours. So are all labor rates treated equally? If I use after hours labor charge, even though I charge 1.5 times our normal rate, will it take one prepaid hour? So yes, the prepaid hours don't have anything to do with the amount that you're charging them. You can have, not all labor rates have to be treated the same with prepaid hours, because you could have prepaid exempt labor, meaning certain labor rates are going to deduct from your prepaid hour balance, but others are not. So that is going to be the only place, but yeah, it's not going to take into consideration like 1.5 times your normal rate. So it's going to do 1.5 hours, unfortunately, sorry.
Super helpful. Thank you so much, Brandy. Next question here is from Anonymous. They say, is it possible to manage software install update with the Synchro agent without using PowerShell or command line? So I will share my screen, show you guys. Yes, there is a way to do this. We have third-party patch management available through Syncro. So whether you access it through opening a policy and scroll down to the third-party patch management section here, or you can also utilize the policy modules and access third-party patch management that way. So in this section here, I just opened one of these, and this is where you are able to we have this to be set up as easy as possible for you guys to use and help you automate as much as possible. So here you have a predetermined list of apps you can manage. You just tell Synchro how you want it to respond to each one. This does not ask the end user for permission. It's just going to do things automatically for you in the background. If you need additional apps, you can add those through Chocolatey. I think last time Brandy mentioned they have over 7,600 apps to choose from. So you have quite a few options. And again, you pull in, let's say your customer needs Zoom or anything else. You can say install and update. You can specify a schedule here as well. So hopefully that helps keep you up to date on all the software management that you need to use. That's it for my question.
Sweet. I'm going to grab a couple. Bruce has been testing the Screen Connect integration and notices that a new tab opens. Yes, that is just how the integration works. So there's not a way to prevent that from happening. Is it okay? Should I just grab a couple while I'm here? Okay, that was a quick one. Where do I set the defaults for new tickets? When a ticket is created, I would like to have the custom field priority and type be preset. So, a couple things. I was going to share my screen because I think we can solve some of this. Okay, if it's per customer, you can have, based upon their SLA, you can have it auto assign to a specific tech, and you can have it auto assign a specific priority. Now, to have an auto custom field and an auto type, I want to just look really quick. This is what's fun about doing live demos. We learn together, but I'm just going to go to mailboxes because I wanted to think that I guess I have several answers now that it's all coming back to me. So if you go to mailboxes, I believe, is this one of them that you can have it do? If you have it only for existing there, you can do like issue type, ticket status, and assign the ticket. So this is one way that you can do that based upon the mailbox. If they're sending it to support have it automatically do this, that, or the other. Now, another fun one, and I'm sure I'm probably already thinking of like missing some. I just feel like I'm definitely missing some. But I want to show you this too. If you go to policy modules and you look at our agent contact forms. So again, if they use the little system tray icon to create the ticket and they use a specific form, so if it says support request, if they use that form, then you can head down here. Anything in generated ticket settings, this is the issue type and this is the custom field type. So if they create the ticket using that agent contact form, what's pretty powerful about this is that if it says like, if it says emergency ticket, you could have the issue type be something that then like triggers a ticket automation that like fires off all the bells and whistles. So did I get them all?
Ticket automations. I think with ticket automations, you can choose, like if it's a new ticket, you can assign a priority, you can bring in a custom field, which would have a worksheet attached.
Yeah, because then from here too, I wanted to look, good call. Sorry,
Yeah, I think you can just put if any ticket is coming in that's new, ticket status new.
Mhm. What's cool about this too is like if it was like ticket subject contains something, then you could have it do that. Like if they're like my website, blah blah blah, then you could have it be a different ticket that way. So yeah, it looks like you can get very granular there. Sorry, thank you, Brandy. I almost forgot like the main part of the answer.
There's so many good answers for that. There's a lot of ways to do it. So I like it because you can do it per customer. You can do it per,
Yeah.
whatever.
Mm-hmm. Yep, exactly. All right, cool. I think I'm done.
Super helpful, thank you. Next question here is from Sebastian, and it's regarding actually the same area that Crystal was just showing. His question is, sometimes I'm working on a ticket and the client wants the work done a few hours later. Is there a way to get reminders to work on a ticket at a certain time without having to go through the entire scheduling, something like a snooze for a couple hours? So I would recommend the same section that Crystal and Brandy were just talking about. In the ticket automations, you can play with these settings in here. Maybe you create a custom status that says waiting on the customer or snooze for 2 hours or whatever it might be. You can say, and if it has not been updated after 2 hours, then I need to email myself or update the due date and get another type of alert. So again, I would just recommend playing in this section here. There's also all these available template tags that you can utilize to kind of fine tune the exact setup that you think would work best for you. And then next comment here is from Jeremy. He says, feature request is to have the ability to have the system tray menu sets like we can for third-party patch management. That way, when we want to modify the options, the icon menu is a 3-minute job, not a huge pile of work. So yes, we don't want you to do huge piles of work. We want things to be as automated. I think that would be cool to have that as kind of like a little like a mini policy or what was that cute word that you used, Brandy? Like, I think it is mini policy, just the little subsections, not the general umbrella policy there. So that's it for me.
Awesome, thanks. I've got a couple in here. So Justin, he asked, "Ooh, how can I make my non-standard labor rates so they don't take away from prepaid hours?" So I dropped the KB. It just at the very bottom of the KB for block hours, it'll show you how to set up your or it'll tell you which ones will be prepaid exempt. So you will have a different category for that in your inventory. So just make sure that you follow that. And then I have, okay, Joshua, are these Q&A sessions recorded and hosted somewhere for viewing at a later time? They are. They're typically, by Monday, they're always posted, but sometimes on Friday afternoon, they're posted on our YouTube channel. We can pop a link to our YouTube channel in there for you as well. And then I thought I had, oh yeah, Derek, I'm using good, better, best type packages for my clients. If I make a recurring invoice and put all possible packages and products on there, will it produce, and I also utilize don't bill $0 line items, will it then produce an invoice with only the packages in use, RMM counter based? This way, only one recurring invoice template for all customers will this work. So what he's referring to is if you go down here on your recurring invoice, you can bill based on good, better, best. So if I have silver, gold, platinum in here, these three, and they are dynamic counters, to my knowledge, it is still going to show up as silver 0, gold 0, platinum 0. Is that what you guys understand? Like if they don't have, it's still going to show up as a line item. It's just going to be $0 for that, right? Yeah. Yeah. So you could ideally create a template that had literally every kind of dynamic counter, but it is going to show up as all of those possible line items for you.
Awesome, super helpful. Next question is from Anonymous. They say, is RMM set so the act of opening a ticket automatically starts tracking time? Can it be? I'll show you guys what they are referring to. And we are going to go over to our under RMM and automated remediation. There's two sections to this question. So first things first, within automated remediation, you can have a custom RMM alert set here that if these conditions are met, if this customer RMM alert is triggered, you can tell Synchro you want it to respond in multiple different ways. One of those options is to be able to convert to a ticket with a predefined subject status, maybe let the customer know in a public comment, assign, create the issue type, whatever it might be. Setting it up this way is not going to automatically start tracking the time. This will only create the ticket for you. However, you'll also have the capability in here to choose to run a script. So you have also within Synchro, one of the most powerful scripting engines on the market. And some of the capabilities of the scripting engine is if you are writing a new script or editing a current script. If you select PowerShell for the file type, you can utilize the PowerShell module that we include for you here. You have the capability to pull in certain commands that we have available for you. You can say, I want Synchro to create a ticket for me. I want it to add time to the ticket. This is how much time I want it to add. This is if I want to bill for the time or not, depending on the type of billing you have set up for your customer. Clear the RMM alert, close the ticket if you want to. So if you want the automated remediation to open a ticket for you and start tracking time on the ticket, you would need to create a script that includes these commands as a response that you pull into here to say run a script, and that special script that you just wrote that includes those PowerShell commands that starts tracking the time for you. And again, it won't click like start time and just keep going indefinitely. You do have to specify how much time, I believe, in this section here. So hopefully that helps answer your question.
Awesome, thank you. I'm gonna grab a few. The only reason I know that we're already 5 minutes out is because my Google Calendar thing just pinged. That went really, really fast. Justin wants to know, are ticket automations still running once per hour, or has that increased in frequency at all? What I do know is when a new ticket comes in, like new tickets, that automation happens like within 15 minutes from my understanding. We are working on this being more of a real-time automation, so just want to let you know we are working on that, but I believe most of them, yes, are like once an hour, unless it's like that new ticket that would auto assign a status or whatever. And then let's see, Paul wants to know, sometimes when he reboots a machine, Synchro Live takes a long time to reboot. I've heard this. I think this would be really good to submit a ticket and let the technical support team know, because I know that they're looking at this. I know you can go in and like restart the service. Obviously, I don't like giving workarounds like that because it should just happen faster. So let technical support know, because I'd really like to get that moving for sure if that's an issue. I love how Dean notices that your clock is wrong, Brandy. So,
yeah. Is Brandy at the beach? Is it a background? You'll never know.
Just because I don't know what just popped up, but really quickly, I just want to tell everyone, just because I think it's worth giving just a tad bit of background, and I don't think we're marketing this super huge, and so if this doesn't apply to you, just kind of like ignore me. But today you'll see that we are releasing a way, there's going to be a Bitdefender takeover flow. So meaning if you have an existing Bitdefender account, in the past, we've had no way to have that managed through Synchro. That has changed as of today. So again, I don't think we're doing a huge marketing push, but if anyone is using Bitdefender separately outside of Synchro, we now have a way, like a takeover flow that we can do. And you just head to the app centers, the Bitdefender card to do that. So I just wanted to make that quick little public service announcement that is released as of like right now. I think we're waiting. They might post it on Facebook, but I don't think you're going to receive an email on that one today.
Woo!
Yeah.
I'm excited about that.
A lot of people are asking for that, so yeah, this is going to automate it.
Oh, Justin says, this is us. The Synchro Live service is set to delayed start by default. If you set it to automatic, it won't be slow anymore. Smiley face. Thanks, Justin.
Cool.
That's awesome. I didn't know that. I should probably know that. Thanks. Appreciate it. 2 more minutes. The Q&A is empty at this point. Empty.
Don't say that.
And like all of a sudden,
This week flew. Oh my gosh.
How in the heck is it the end of July already?
I don't know. The whole month.
Anyway. Oh. Oh. Nice. You can set it to automatic with a really easy PowerShell script and then run on all your assets.
And Justin is doing a scripting training with us next Friday.
You'll be hearing from me, Justin.
Oh,
welcome.
oh, yay.
That's awesome. Yes, everyone have a wonderful weekend. Did we get everything? We get import post.
We could import post to mailer and repair shopper.
With the same post import into Synchro.
Whatever you can do in repair shopper, I'm pretty sure you'll be able to do. It's just called marketer, or it's called mailer and Syncro. It's called marketer and repair shopper. Yeah.
That's not confusing. Well, happy Friday, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. Have a wonderful weekend, and please join us next weekend. Or not next weekend.
Don't join us next weekend. Join us next Friday.
Next weekend.
Have a good weekend.
Bye.